you. It's a pleasure to have the been invited to present. So thank you once again, Linda, for our back and forth exchanges. Um, and I'm really happy, excited to get to share about what I do and what we do as Goodwill Southern Arizona. Um, am I allowed to share my screen, Linda?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Chad?
All right, there we go.
Okay.
So, yeah, thank you for that. My reading my bio. So I'm not originally from Tucson. I'm from Waterloo, Iowa. So I'm from the Midwest. I moved probably when I was 24, 25 years of age. I moved to the St. Louis area, St. Louis, Missouri area with the older brother, and began my career with Department of Corrections in the state of Missouri. So corrections officer, then a case manager within the institution, and then I just kind of had, my wife and I, we were newly married, and we decided that we wanted to move to either Texas or Arizona because, for one, I was tired of snow and cold. So, being of all days, we're getting some snow. I'm not happy at all. Everybody else is wild by it, but this is the reason why I moved to get away from snow. Um, so we made our way to Tucson, and one of my first jobs was working as a child protective specialist within the um, child protective services. And I was in a specific program called the Arizona Young Adult Program that provided ongoing case management for youth ages at least 16 years of age who family reunification was no longer an option, or those youth did not want to be adopted. So we worked with those youth to their 18th birthdays. And if they wanted to stay on after their 18th birthday, the state would provide pathways to continue helping them with their education goals, living on their own, and all kind of other services. And so while I was doing that work, I was, tasked with trying to find opportunities within the community for these young folks on my caseload. And I came across Goodwill Southern Arizona youth programs. And so there was a program called Good Futures, and it was more of your intensive employment training program. And I would refer my young folks. And then out of the blue, I was doing some searching on late night on the internet of some other opportunities, other employment opportunities. And I came across Goodwill, and I saw that they were going to have another youth program added to the organization. And it was a real interest because it was juvenile justice involved focus. And so that's what kind of landed me here today. I've been at Goodwill for close to 7 years. So um, I am the program senior program manager over two youth reengagement centers. And so I'm just going to get into it, give you a little background about our program history and overview. So in April 2014, Goodwill, we were selected as a subgrantee, um, and we received some funding through the Department of Labor for a 2-year period to serve 100 youth who had been involved in the juvenile justice system. And these youth, we were tasked with providing them opportunities to, if they were disconnected from school, to get connected with, reconnect with school. If they were in need of employment, to help them be prepared for employment opportunities within the community, connections to community resources, and to ultimately help them to become and stay in a um, positive within the community. So if they were on juvenile probation, to help them to not reoffend or to pick up any additional charges. As you know, grants come and go. So that grant ended, and in 2016, we started receiving some funding from the city of Tucson that would assist out of school youth with the ability to obtain their GED. And so these were the young people who were typically not involved in traditional school settings. And then in 2017, we were afforded an opportunity to partner with the United Way of Southern Arizona um, to oversee the Re-Engagement Center. And so those services that are United Way is our backbone organization, we are tasked with reconnecting youth who have been disconnected from school or work. And you might have heard this term a while ago called at-risk youth. No longer do we use that term. We now call opportunity youth. So any youth between the ages of 16 to 24 who have not completed their high school education, have no work experience, that is what we consider opportunity youth. And within Pima County, there's over 20,000 opportunity youth. 20,000. So just think about if we were able to engage all of those young people, provide them with the ability to have pathways back to education and to receive their high school education, gain employment opportunities. That could be really, really big for our community. So that's what a little bit about the program history and the overview. In both of our two re-engagement centers that we have the opportunity to oversee. So the first one is Goodwill Metro Youth Center, and that's located 300 North 4th Avenue. So it's right on 4th Ave, right next door to our Goodwill retail store on 4th Ave. And then we have our newer center, which is where I'm at, Goodwill Rec Youth Center, and that's 1920 East Silver Lake. And so both centers, young people between the ages of 14 to 24 can access the center spaces. I gave you the definition of the opportunity youth, but opportunity youth comprises of youth in the juvenile justice system, foster care, youth who are on their own, homeless youth, youth who fall into the LGBTQ plus population. So you name it, any young person that falls within those ages, we're serving on a daily basis. There's no way that we can do this work alone over here at Goodwill. And so these are just a short list of some of our community partners. Being that once young people engage with our re-engagement centers, there's areas of connecting back to school. So talked about most of these young people, the traditional school settings haven't worked, charter schools haven't worked. So we do have an option for GED. And what does that look like? That's sitting a young person down, going over their educational plans, allowing them to test on the pre-GED exams. And eventually, if they're meeting their educational goals, then we will pay for their official GED exams. And so if you're dealing with young people, you know, they love incentives, they love to be motivated. So there's some incentives along the way. They're able to earn money, gift cards, stipends. But then we also have young people who
Can't hear you.
may not want to attain their GED. So they want to still obtain their high school diploma. So we're working with a partner called Grad Solutions. And Grad Solutions is an online high school credit recovery program. So young people can still access our center spaces. They're able to get some one-on-one tutoring. They're able also to have online mentoring tutoring available for them. This has really been beneficial. I think we have about like 70 students that are co-enrolled with Grad Solutions, ourselves, and for some of those who are considered on their own, we're also working with Youth on Their Own. So Youth on Their Own will provide the services and the monthly stipends if they're meeting their attendance and their grades are, are at a certain level where they can earn a stipend. So that has been a benefit. We also have Boys to Men Tucson. So we know that a lot of times young people are maybe encouraged or forced to come to our centers. And what that looks like is to maybe a probation officer said, hey, you need to go down there and get enrolled. But when we see them, most times they're not really interested in getting a job, or maybe it's one or the other. So we allow the young people to really lead out on what their goals and what they want. And so um, sometimes that might not be an interest, either one of those areas. So we do have a mentoring, a community circle group that focuses on mentoring young men and young boys. And that's every Monday from 2:30 to 3:30. And this is another way of young people still being engaged in services with us. So then you see we have El Rio Health Center. We're doing some work with those folks. We have a telehealth portal within our Fourth Avenue Center so that young people can access the El Rio Health Specialists to set up their own appointments with their PCP, primary care physician, and some additional needs. And then, of course, those who do complete their high school diploma and GED, there's pathways to community college, Pima Community College, and that. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to interrupt me. One of the other things, we have Tu Nudito. If anybody's familiar about Tu Nudito, they provide grief and loss supports for youth within the community. So we noticed as when we were doing intakes with our young people from various systems that where we might have thought that a young person was just unmotivated or, for whatever reason, wouldn't move forward with obtaining their GED, or maybe they were right close. They were only a couple credits shy of completing their high school diploma. The data revealed that a lot of our youth have lost someone important in their lives. And so it became evident that they hadn't dealt with the grief, they hadn't dealt with the loss. And so we decided to partner with Tu Nudito, Arizona End of Life Care, Pima County Juvenile Court Center, and we now have bereavement support groups within our center space. And what that does is the young people told us that they would be interested in bereavement support groups, but that they weren't willing to go to the actual Tu Nudito headquarters or any other community partner because they didn't feel
Hi,
safe.
Chad, it's Sandy.
Mhm.
Lance is just frozen on the screen. I'm not getting any sound or anything from him. I don't know if everybody else is reporting that or not you, but anyway, something's the matter. Thank you. Bye.
I can hear Lance.
Folks, there's a lot of internet issues because of the snow today.
I can hear him well.
A lot of Tucson's internet is supplied via line of sight, and there's a lot of snow on dishes and radios, and there's a lot of power outages all over town. So please bear with us and all of that. I'm sorry, Sandy. Hopefully it'll kick back on for you in a moment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Sandy. I'm sorry. I'm frozen on yours.
We're also recording the meeting, so I'm recording it on the desktop, and I'm going to turn it into a YouTube link later on to share this presentation with the members who couldn't be here and anybody who had technical difficulties during this meeting. Lance, I had a couple questions for you since we're in kind of a interesting time here.
Yes.
I was curious, I don't see Rotary up there in any way, shape, or form, so I was curious if you guys have looked out to Rotary to be a community partner, and if not, what it might take to be a community partner. I've also got a question about your correlation and cooperation with the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections, and what percentage of young adults who are granted probation actually make it through the program. And I was curious if there was different stats for white students or white children of opportunity, African American, Hispanic, or Native American Indian. Those are my two questions for now.
Okay. Okay, I'll go with the first one. Community partners, as far as Rotary, I was able to. I think we've just recently formed a partnership with the Catalina Rotary Club, and was in some ongoing conversations through one of various committees that I'm a part of that focus on the reducing the racial and ethnic disparities of Black youth in the juvenile justice system. And so, but typically, I don't remember our Goodwill programs really having a relationship with Rotary, but we are definitely interested to really create a partnership with you all. And so I look forward to having some further discussions. When it comes to the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections, I would say we don't really have too many youth. I think over a period of time, the commitment of youth to Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections has really decreased. So our Pima County Juvenile Court Center, if a young person is on juvenile probation and they're meeting their probation requirements and things like that, then that's typically where we get a lot of our youth from, but not so much from the Arizona Department of Juvenile Corrections. They have allowed us to come in to that facility in Phoenix and really provide information to those youth who are from Pima County. And so we look at that as more of a pathway for once those individuals are released on juvenile parole, then they're knowledgeable about some of the opportunities that we have at Goodwill or within our Tucson community.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions? All right. So I'll move on to the next slide. And this is really how it works. Before COVID, we were essentially deemed as a drop-in youth centers. And so young people could just drop in anytime. And so before COVID, we were having average of 25 to 30 visits per day of young people within the spaces. Now that COVID has come and disrupt a lot of things, we've had to change how we operate. And so we have a certain number of youth that can actually be in the space at one time. So at our 4th Ave locations, because it's so small, we're only allowed to have 7 individuals in that space at one time, and that's including staff. And then our Goodwill Rec Youth Center, we're only able to have 12, total of 12 individuals, including staff. And so we're setting up on an appointment basis. We have made sure that when we message to young folks, if they want to engage in services, everybody has to be masked. There's a temp check done. Everybody's socially distancing. We're cleaning on the hour. And so, but when that intake process happens, the young person is given a brief overview about what we have to offer, the different programs, the different services, the importance of being enrolled. And then ultimately what we have them fill out is an individual success plan. That success plan focuses on their goals, not only their goals, but what are some of the barriers? If you want to go back to school or if you want to get your GED, what are some barriers? What are some things preventing you that we can help assist you to navigate? And then there's also some young people who are disconnected or maybe have aged out of the foster care system. They need to be reconnected back with uh, medical coverage, so access benefits, SNAP benefits. So a lot of times we're able to work with other community partners to have them in our space to sign up young folks for access benefits, SNAP benefits, or other medical coverages. And then housing. Housing is a big issue with young people. So sometimes they're couch surfing, and that means just staying from place to place, staying at one place, one friend's house to a family member's house, and doing that while all maybe trying to go to school, maybe trying to work. And so we try to direct them to the different housing providers. And then Also allowing young people to have input within what we do. So there are times where we've had a virtual town hall chat with TPD. So after the racial and social justice movements of the murder of of the murder of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and even what happened here locally, young people were worried and wanted to really share their thoughts and ideas. And so providing space, but also allowing them to provide us with feedback. And a lot of different, prior to COVID, there were community events that we would be a part of. And um, allowing those young folks to have the opportunity to serve in the community was a great thing. These are just some of the examples of services. So obviously we talked about high school diploma, GED. So on site, we have staff members that can assist with academic coaching, tutoring. If you're online with Grad Solutions, they have their own staff that can assist. Um, Helping out with paying for the GED prep exams and the official exams, but also helping the young people to navigate their way to such as a Pima Community College. We would be amazed, you would be amazed that a lot of the young people who come to our center down on 4th Ave, it's so close to the U of A, but it's the furthest thing from their mind. Like they have never been told that, hey, this could be an option for you. Pima Community College could be an option. So really helping them with believing that they can get to those next steps in life. Resource fairs, workshops, basic needs, just, being able to assist with having hygiene items, socks, toothpaste, toothbrush, things that we all take for granted. We work with the community food bank, and there's food boxes that will get snacks and things like that to help young people when they come in our spaces. And I believe that that's one of the things that we've perfected is you can't ask young people to show up to these different service providers and there's nothing for them to take away. So you ask me to go across here, this part of town, this part of town, but you won't even give me a bus pass to get me back to where I need to get to. So that's been a huge barrier, and that's something also for falls and needs assistance that we were giving before COVID. But now that the transportation system is free, that's on hold. But these are just some examples of services. Any questions? All right. Ultimately, when I think I manage several different funding sources. And so there's outcomes. People want to know what are the outcomes. So obviously we're here to improve the income of young folks, the education outcomes, employment outcomes, being more connected within our community. Um, a lot of times when we're engaging with young people, especially this population, it can be very hard. But we also have come to understand that it has been adults that have left a lot of these, that have let a lot of these young people down. And so here I am, and here our staff members are a group of another set of adults trying to help out. And sometimes that's challenging. And so, we look to improve those relationships with adults and young adults and our seasoned adults in the community. But to improve one's ultimately way of life. That's what we're here to do. And I could tell you that there have been many young people that have come through the doors. Currently, we're probably tracking around 800 youth. But these young people go through a tremendous amount of challenges and barriers. And we're looking to also encourage them that it's just not one organization. There's many other organizations, but sometimes there's the lack of knowledge about how to navigate these resources in our community. And so that's what we try to do on a daily basis. Ultimately, this is my contact information. Like I said, I've been at Goodwill for close to going on 7 years. And I think that, we do a great job of using all our community resources, applying for different grants and partnering with different organizations and agencies. But I will say that, you know, the one thing that helps us out the most is the young people continue to come back. Within that intake process that I talked about, we utilize what we call a trauma-informed individualized safety plan, and that goes over the past traumatic experiences and triggers. But once we start asking those questions, the young people get to understanding that we're asking these questions because we want them to be safe in our spaces. And we continue to hear that. And so I think that has been the number one growth of young people have identified us as a safe place in the community to come and gain resources, to be connected.
Excellent.
What challenges have you guys had because of COVID, Lance?
Well, I think most of the challenges are we have a lot of young people who, I mean, we're seeing a lot less within our center spaces. So if we set up appointments and then a young person cancels, you know, that might prevent another young person from coming in and receiving services. I would say there's you know, we've had the opportunity to work with other community partners and have like hygiene drives and things like that, but we're seeing a lot of young folks who are in need of hygiene items. We've seen a lot of young folks who, you know, are just not able to, you know, if they can't come into space and can't use their technology, then they're not able, they don't have the access at home to apply for jobs. So I would say that that could be a barrier. And then definitely with the pandemic of losing loved ones, losing people who have been close or who have been really important to them in their lives.
Lance, I have a question, and that is, what do you think the impact of now legalizing marijuana is going to be for these kids? I used to be a social worker, and I can't believe what's going to be happening for even kids not in this situation.
Yeah, you know, it's I think it's going to be a huge impact. You know, I feel like on one end, it's going to open up business, you know, as far as, you know, these dispensaries and things like that. But a lot of the youth that we see, they don't have the funds to even when it's legalized, you know, they're still going to fall into this category of getting a hold of it illegally. And so I don't, I mean, I think that, you know, a lot of them use it to cope. So rather than go through the behavioral health services and things like that. So I see it as, you know, a huge impact that I don't foresee it being too many good outcomes, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
Are there any
Lance,
more questions for Lance at this time?
I've got one. You talked about, well, I think I saw on your screen about leadership opportunities. What do you mean by that?
So our leadership opportunities, when I talk about programs, we have several different programs. And one of the programs we have, we're partnered with Arizona Serve. And so I don't know if many of you have heard of AmeriCorps members. And so AmeriCorps members are tasked with getting back into the community, helping organizations, agencies with education, reduce poverty, all those type of things. And most times our young people do not even know what an AmeriCorps member is unless we have an AmeriCorps member placed at our organization. And so we're allowing ages 17 to 24-year-olds become an AmeriCorps member and serve a 300-hour term. So currently we just had a cohort start, and we're partnering with Tucson Police Department, Arizona Complete Health. And so what Tucson Police Department wants, they want to eventually create their own youth council. They want young people to be able to provide feedback in regards to how they're recruiting police officers, community service officers. And so we're having young people who are moving forward with that opportunity. But then what I mentioned about our bereavement support groups. So working with Arizona Complete Health, we're having them these young people complete peer support training. Once they're completed with that training, they receive a certification that could lead to employment with the different behavioral health agencies that hire on peer support specialists. And so when we talk about these leadership opportunities, these young folks get to be creative and be a part of community events. They're going to be helping us with our second virtual chat. So we want you to pretty much run the show, come up with the questions, interview the different police officers or leadership within TPD. And then all while they're doing this, they will receive a biweekly stipend up to $2,000. And at the end of the 300 hours, they will earn an education award. That education award can go towards tuition in the future or for books. And that's even if they haven't completed their high school diploma or GED, that education award will be waiting for them. And so what that looks like too is there's a cost. There's a cost to our agency. And
Okay.
so we apply for different funding sources and different avenues to make sure that we continue that program.
Okay. Well, I was asked, or should I say, Chad asked earlier about partnership with Rotary. And when I think about leadership opportunities for students, I'm reminded that the Rotary has started a community interact club. Am I correct on that, guys?
That's correct. I'm also going to speak a little bit more about Rotary involvement here in just a second. But yeah, we do have a community interact club.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that's kind of like what I was thinking about in terms of leadership opportunities and where that could fit in with the community interact group.
Okay.
It's a great idea. Lance, may I steal your screen?
Yes, I'll stop sharing. Thank you.
So I would like to share this while you're still here, Lance. You're welcome to stay for our whole meeting, or if you need to go, I want to share this before you take off. You see my PowerPoint or do you see my PDF?
I see the PowerPoint.
PowerPoint, which one?
All right, now you see my PDF.
Yes.
All right. So Lance spoke earlier about Catalina Rotary Club of Tucson's racial justice work group. They've got a district work group that both Francis and I have been participating in as we've been available to. They have a meeting Friday the 29th at 12:10 to talk about 4 programs that the Catalina Rotary Club has approved regarding racial equity. And I wanted to talk just for a moment about this one. The title of this project is Network for Equity in Education Development Collaborative, or NEED. It is in conjunction with Goodwill Industries. And of course, the area focus is peace and conflict resolution. We've got a whole bunch of information here to talk about the collaboration with several other clubs and organizations. But Catalina Rotary is already partnering with Goodwill to come back around on the guitar. And, we've been having our courageous conversations on racial equality using the 4-way test. And if you're like me and you're a millennial and you want things to happen now, you've been itching to get in there and do something, and this is the opportunity. So Catalina Rotary has started doing things, and we can partner right now with these guys. So I wanted to share that. And Lance, we sure appreciate you. We have your contact information. If anybody else has any questions, you can email Lance there. Linda also has Lance's contact information if you need it. And that's it. Lance, wonderful presentation. We really appreciate you being here today.
Well,
Thank you, Lance.
Thank you,
Thank
Francis.
you.
Thank
Nice to meet you.
all. I look forward to connecting with you all and seeing how we can further work together. So I'll keep in touch.
All right.
Good.
Great, great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lance.
Bye-bye.
All right, great presentation, Linda. You did it again. You're not even in the room when I'm praising you. That's okay. Jerry's birthday was also our district governor's birthday. Diane Ventura Goodyear had a birthday on the 17th. Artis's birthday was 6 days ago.
Oh,
Barb's birthday is today, Annabelle. You're muted, so I can't hear you, but I'm guessing that Barb is 39 today. Is that it?
It is. Well, you know what? She is about 8 months younger than I am. So, but at this time, we both reached the same age.
oh,
And then in May, then I'll be older than she is. But right now, she caught up with me.
I like it. Well, I wanted to continue to remind everybody that we do continue to have our courageous conversations on race, racism, and social justice through Rotary's four-way test. When's the next meeting, Miss Francis?
February 2nd.
February 2nd is our next Courageous Conversations meeting. It is Rotary Vocational Month. In partnering with Goodwill and some of the other projects that Catalina Rotary has going on. There are many opportunities to help with vocational service this month. There are reading, tutoring, and all sorts of fun stuff that's going on with Catalina Rotary. If any of you have time to make it to the meeting on Friday at noon, I have a Zoom link, and they will be talking about the 4 service projects that they passed that they're going to be working on that are directly related to racial inequality or inequity. Does any of my committee members, Jane or Marilyn, have anything to say?
Not really.
Nothing for the good of the club. Jean isn't here. How about Sandy?
No, except it's Australia Day today, and since I have
Us.
part of my family
Australia.
living down there,
Oh. Ooh,
just think some good thoughts. They have immediate going into a hotel when you come there and being kept apart from other people for 2 weeks, regardless of what your COVID test is. And they
Mhm.
barely had any COVID things happening down there at all.
All right.
Yeah, let me give you a little bit about my experience this past weekend.
okay.
Well, on the on Martin Luther King's Day, I had a COVID test done, the long one, and I tested negative. So that was a Monday. And then on Wednesday, I started feeling symptoms like I had a cold. So I went to the urgent care on Friday, and they did the rapid COVID test, and they said you have positive results. So they immediately, this was next care on an Old Spanish Trail. Immediately they notified TMC. And while I was getting in the car from the urgent care, I got a call from TMC, and they said we have scheduled you for a for the monoclonal infusion. When can you come? So
Yeah.
I scheduled it for Saturday at 10 o'clock. So I drove myself to TMC. They have it all really organized. The monoclonal section is right behind the uh, the uh, the water tower behind TOI. And so I walked in there. They had signs all over the place. They had a parking designated for the people coming in. I walked in. The lady that took care of me took me over there. Uh, my appointment was at 10 o'clock. By 10:15, I was already plugged in to an infusion machine, and I was infused with the medicine that was used by President Trump. And it's a 1 hour duration infusion. They check you every half an hour, and I slept most of the time anyway. Uh, so I was there from 10 to 11 was the infusion, and then 11 to 12 was the observation. They observe you to see if there's any reaction for 1 hour, and then I was told go home. So on Sunday, I received a call from the Arizona Department of Health, and I was asked a whole bunch of questions, almost half an hour. And then finally, we reached the conclusion that my my quarantine time was 10 days, and that I would finish my quarantine on the 30th. So they're quite thorough. What was interesting is that the place at TMC, they had a whole bunch of cubicles, and there are only 2 or 3 being utilized. I wonder if people are not using that procedure. But anyway, I don't have fever. I don't have uh, chills or diarrhea or any of the symptoms that they give you in a long list of symptoms to be on the lookout for. And I feel good. I'm working on papers here, trying to get rid of all kinds of papers that I have saved to, but I have to decide whether I'm going to throw them away or I have to throw them through the shredder or whatever, you know. So it keeps me busy. But anyway, I don't have any. The only thing I have every now and then is I sneeze. Uh, but I don't have any of the symptoms of the flu.
That's good. That's
How
good news.
about Barbara? How is Barbara doing?
Barbara tested negative.
Oh, good.
So we have, this is a big house, and each there's bathrooms in almost every room. So where each one has its own room, uh, it's and each one has its own room, and we're separate. We're each one is keeping the distance. And
Okay.
our daughter in town has made arrangements for food.
Okay, very good.
They come over and they leave the food outside, and then they call us. It's in front of in the front porch,
Uh-huh.
and so we help ourselves, and so we have plenty of food.
Who's
And
bringing you the food?
my daughter.
Oh, okay.
Very good. Well, Annabelle, that's the good report. That's
So I just
wonderful.
wanted you to know that, share it, because we're very fortunate, and we're grateful to the Lord that
Yes.
it was not a very complicated, because I lost a cousin on Christmas Day due to COVID. She lives in Puerto Rico. She lived in Puerto Rico, and she was doing very well, and suddenly she collapsed. So that's
Well, we're
that's the
glad you're
report.
well.
And I think my dog wants me to take him out.
I sincerely mean this when I say thanks for sharing your story.
It's interesting. Our dog is a nurse dog, and he just won't let me go anywhere.
Mhm.
You can follow me all over the house, outside. Yeah. So he's 15. So the yellow lab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nice.
Mine is the same, Anibal. Because of my strokes and things, I mean, she's sitting right here beside me, waiting for
Yeah.
me to get off.
Yeah. This one is
Yeah.
right here in front of me, but he talks to me, and he knows also. He can tell time. He knows when supper time is.
That's,
I have something to share too. I just want y'all to know that Gary had his vaccine shot a week ago yesterday. He just had pain in the arm at the site, and he had some general malaise, whole body malaise for about, maybe 3 days, and he's okay now. So he has a first shot, and he'll have his second shot February 11th.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's good news because he
That's
has
good
so much
news.
complication.
That's good news.
Yeah.
But I have to schedule Barb's. Barb's was scheduled to be on it yesterday, but because of the exposure to me, she has to be on quarantine too with me. So I'm gonna make the appointment for her, so that because I cannot have it for 90 days.
Mhm.
Since I had the infusion, there's a 90-day wait time.
Good.
Okay.
Rig, I'm Wrigley. Yeah, it's good.
All right. Thank you for sharing, Eyeball. I'm glad everybody's
Yes.
doing well. Glad Gary got
Good
it.
news. Good news.
We talked about the Rotary Vocational Fund. What are the 7 areas of focus? Basic education and literacy, maternal and child health, peace and conflict resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water sanitation, economic and community development, and the new one is the environment.
Okay.
One of these days I'll change this slide, but I've been lazy, so you guys get to see it over and over again.
It's a good reminder.
It's a good reminder.
Yes.
Continuing to talk about Rotary Direct and becoming a benefactor, leaving money to Rotary Foundation after you pass. Great idea. Every Rotarian every year starts at $10 a month or $120 a year. If you guys are not signed up for Rotary Direct, think about it. Who should I pick on? Linda, will you lead us in the 4-way test?
4-way test by all means. Did you call me?
Yes, ma'am.
The 4-way test of the things we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to
all concerned? Will it
Will
build
it build goodwill
and better
friendships?
friendships?
And
Will
will
it
it be
be beneficial to all concerned?
and is it fun?
And is it fun? Like
Right.
that.
You guys know the 4-way beer test? Have you guys ever read this koozie that I put on the screen?
No.
The
Is
4-way
it ice
beer
cold?
test, is it ice cold? Is it enough for all concerned? Will it build good time and much better friendships? And can it get any better than this?
And will it be fun?
And will it be fun? All right, folks, on that note, I will see you
Take care.
on the 2nd.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Enjoy the
Take
snow,
care.
what's left of it.
That's right.
Bye-bye.